show. You're not listening to the Modern Military's Move. Dolo the Archangel Uriel. The flight boss here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now we want to talk about mysticism and occult knowledge or occult science or whatever. Now, what I like to do, I like to break down words, language, and get down to the most singular point of the germ. So once you understand that point of it, all the manifestations and the lights and illusions around it will be easily understood. You know what I'm saying? You will be able to see through things. This is where they get the science from, where they're talking about seeing through things. Now let's talk about occult. Let's talk about mysticism, because they go hand in hand. Mysticism is nothing. This is the singular point of it. Mysticism is nothing but communicating with the unseen or the unknown. Now, don't get caught up in words with unknown and unseen. Unknown is something that's just not known in the dimension that you're in. Unseen is just something that's not seen in the dimension that you in. That doesn't mean that these are things that can't be known or seen. So titles and names are just titles. Names and language are just titles that people can use to place things in categories. So everything that can be placed in the categories of unknown and unseen will lie there. Just like your thoughts is unseen. So it would be placed in that category of unseen. But that don't mean it can't be seen, or that don't mean it's a dimension that exists that these can't be seen. There is dimensions that exist that this can be seen. You see what I'm saying? So you just have to you see, I'm just giving you the fluid of how to look at words so you can start to understand what we're getting into. Now, mysticism lies with mystery. So we need to learn more about mystery than history. We don't need to learn about history, because the more and more you learn about history, it's just the singular point of it is gonna fall towards his story. And the highest level of consciousness you gonna ever come to is his story, to the point that your ultimate conclusion of what God is his story. Is gonna be a him. You need to get to my story. Mystery. When you look at mystery, it spells my story. And this is what's been hidden from you. This is why all mysteries need to be figured out. They are hidden. So your story has been hidden from you. This is why you don't know who you are, but you know what every fucking thing else is. And you apply what everything else is to who you are. And that's the first science into why everybody want to call themselves this, that, and the third, and Hebrews in this religion. You see what I'm saying? They're trying to find themselves. They're trying to find what they call themselves. That has been lost. Now, when we're talking about as far as mysticism, now it correlates with mystic, with my story, with mystery. Because the more and more you figure out yourself, you can sit back and be like, damn, I'm learning my story now. And a lot of times, in this illusion, you have to learn mysticism. So the energy of mysticism, like I said, everything is frequency vibrations. It's just depending on what density it's in. That's the more letters it's going to have, and the more language and the more meanings it's going to have behind it, and the more illusions and lights. But it means the same thing, just in a lower density. The higher density it is, it takes less thought. But that's what it is. So a lot of times in the third dimension, people who get into mysticism end up finding more about themselves faster. So because they're figuring out their own story faster. Because when you get into mysticism, it takes you to realms of realities, to the natural frequency of saying, damn, I'm figuring out my story. So when we talk about mysticism, mysticism is only about communicating with the unknown and unseen. So let's get back to this now. Your story has been hidden from you. So that means other people's story has been hidden from them. So what you're able to see a lot of times in this society is 99% of the world. But this is what's actually going on, because I'm Archangel Uriel. I'm telling you what's going on. What you're actually able to see is what a person accumulated of, the germs that they accumulated of, the dots that they're accumulated of. So when we talk about mysticism, let's go back to this. It's only the singularity of it is communicating with the unknown and unseen. So let's go for an example. Say a person smokes cigarettes, right? And you smoke cigarettes, right? Now, you don't know if this person have a cigarette or not, but you know how a cigarette make you feel based upon, because you know yourself. So based upon, you can kind of come up with the idea how a cigarette would make this person feel, because you know that this person smoking a cigarette also. So you have a shared relative understanding of what the cigarette make both of you guys feel. So it's a shared vibration. So that vibration itself is unseen. So it steps into that title in that area of category of being unseen, of unknown. So it's going to be in the reality of mysticism now, because mysticism is what's unknown and what's unseen. So everything that falls under the titles of what's unknown and unseen will fall under the title of mysticism, which is the singularity of it, the oversoul of that. So a vibration is unseen. It's not unknown, but it's unseen, so it falls into a mysticism area of life. So that's the right and left brain of it. Unseen and unknown. Unseen to be the left brain of it, unknown to be the right brain of it. You could know a vibration, but you can't see it. I'm getting too deep for y'all. Let's get on surface though. Now, that person may be talking about a bunch of problems and shit like that. Now, this is what you're consciously aware of. This is what's being seen. Their mouth moving, what they're saying, all the shit that they're going through, right? Now, they didn't have to physically tell you they need a cigarette. But say you reach in your pocket, you give them a cigarette. They're going to say some shit like, damn, you read my mind. Good looks. You made them feel better in a higher dimension. So they may still be down here, but it may be a short relief, because it's a short relief in a higher dimension. Now, what you just did was mysticism. You communicated with the unknown. You felt the person's vibration and you catered to what was unseen. And you did it with a magic trick, because you used an accumulation of elements, which will be a cigarette, to be used as everything that's here, not just cigarettes, but everything that's used to accommodate a person's spirit and soul is a ritual. And how we do rituals and spells is we get a pot, which is a space. Any space is a hole. You know what I'm saying? The shape of a pot, that's what that idea of it even came from. That's why pots hold stuff. That's why cups hold stuff. But in a higher rubber reality where I come from, and the dimensions I used to be in, we just call this a space. Space was within space. Y'all in a lower dimension where y'all just see all space as this space. Because you within that's different. That's another video. But you get a hole, which is a space, and you take elements and mix them in. And depending on what ritual or spell you're trying to accumulate, some spells may take more fire than water. Some spells, but you gotta accumulate. You got boom, put in earth, put in water, put in boom, 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 boom. Then that's how everything is formulated in different ways, shapes, and forms. So in this case, I just did it as an example of a cigarette vibration. You know what I'm saying? And all the vibration frequencies that come out of that. I just did a density and third dimension relatable one so people can understand it. You see what I'm saying? Understand my world. I just brought a higher dimension into the world that y'all can understand it in y'all dimension. So that's mysticism. Communicating with the unknown. And I just gave you an example how you do it every day in your dimension. You know what I'm saying? Now let's talk about occult. Occult knowledge, occult science. Knowledge would be right brain, which is roundness, circle. Science will be left brain, which is logical, square. When we start to decipher the roundness, when we start to decipher the circumstance, the situation, circumstance is a 3D. That's the round. So the situation that you're in a globe, roundness. That's right brain. So this is the vibration. Now, when you start to analyze it, you start to piece it up, chop it up, square it up, put it in pieces and boxes, make it squares and shit. That's logic. That's logically understanding the circumstance. Now you add in the left brain with it. So That's science and logic. Language is left brain. The circumstance in a situation that is trying to actually logically decipher and chop up is the right brain. It's a presence that you just already in and feel. Now, occult just means doing things behind the scenes with yourself or a group. So what you have to understand is you just have people who take occult-like things and do what they want with it. And depending on what kind of frequency they're vibrating on, they're able to do more with this than others. But everybody does this. You have secrets. You go out and get a job. I don't necessarily know why you got the job, right? But you have a bunch of things inside you that became meanings and reasons why you went and got the job. So you use an occult science, you use an occult knowledge to go get that job, because you use certain elements, and it was something out here material wise that was formulated with certain elements that made you feel like you had to jump into the vibration that's formulated in the job mechanism of elements in order for you to access what you need. So it's all a ritual, it's all tricks. People who created jobs made you work for bargaining and gain and all that shit, utilize your energy. That was a spell. That's a ritual. You have to understand that's what a cult is. So now that you understand occult knowledge and occult science, when you just hear the word occult, it got a negative vibration to it, right? Because it came from a negative space. Look, every frequency vibration is real. Now, it could be utilized for good and bad, but how it just naturally makes you feel, it comes from that space. So it comes from a negative vibrational space. But you have to understand, energy don't give a fuck about you and how you look at it. So you make it good or bad. You gave it the title and the name. But energy is going to play out the way it is. So now that you know how not to be too naive and not to look at things and turn the other cheek to things, how you have to relate to everything, this is how you start to understand that even the things you may do every day that you thought was right is wrong. But you then came up with a meaning or reason, and you may be in a society that put things behind it that make it seem the way it seems. For an example, you feeling like, all right, a cult, that's just doing things in secrecy, right? So you have beings here that made it bad because a group of beings start doing things that the things that they was doing in secrecy may have caused a lot of harm. But let's just get to the singularity of a cult first, and the actual workings and how it kind of got originated, and a lot of things that lies in occult knowledge and science. Now, a cult is something that one person or a group do together behind closed doors. So one occult knowledge is sex. So now you have to understand that you're like, oh, sex, where are we going with this? Sex is an occult science. Sex is an occult knowledge because it's something that one or more people do behind closed doors in secrecy. And there will be no need to do it behind closed doors if you felt comfortable with doing it in the open. And don't care who's seen. You see the small mechanisms of dilemmas? See, now, tell a Christian that. Next time you come across a religious person, tell them why you don't even feel comfortable with having sex. They're gonna put themselves in a hole. Ask them why they don't feel comfortable with having sex out in the open and just being naked and having sex out in the open with your pleasures. They're gonna put themselves in a hole, in their God and their religion hole. Because here's what's gonna happen. They're gonna start describing a bunch of shit of why you shouldn't have sex in the open, right? So then once you did, so then all you have to do is ask them after that, then why do you have sex in the first place? They're gonna dig another hell hole. All they're gonna do is give you examples of how deep they're in the hell, and without realizing it. They're gonna dig themselves another hole. They're gonna start to tell you, well, this is why we should have sex in this, that, and the third, right? Then you have to ask them this. Well, ultimately, your religion should be teaching you that sex is negative. Then How would a person in Christianity who really cling to it really look at their children and really look at their life and look at their kingdom, their family? How would they even ever look at it the same if they really went with their Christianity the way they Bible really told them to go with it, or any religion? They wouldn't even be able to look at the life that they in the same. So they have no choice but to disrespect their God in certain areas in their religion just to accommodate the life in the new age that they in now. So you see how hell go in so many levels? But let's go back to occult. Sex is an occult science. So if occult give you the negative heebie-jeebies in general, that word in general, then you have to know in some location in the sky or space, in some travels or some beings in some travels in some way, shape, or form, that sex came from a negative place. Occult, doing something for a motive. So say you have a purpose. Damn, that sounds like something you're supposed to have, right? Like, damn, Dolo, if I ain't got a purpose, what am I supposed to have? Having a purpose, just having a motherfucking purpose, is an occult. Is an occult science. Who gave you a purpose? Ask a religious person that. Why do you have a purpose? Listen to how many holes they dig themselves in. Listen to how much again they gonna. And all you have to do is laugh and be like, all you doing is explaining to me is how deep, how many levels in hell you is, and laugh every time you look at their face and them not realizing what you're doing. You don't even have to actually explain to them. Later on in life, or maybe many different vessels they may have to experience to realize, like, damn, that motherfucker right. I've been in hell this whole time, and I've been looking at this motherfucker like he going to hell. And the only reason I seen hell off him because I'm experiencing hell. And that person was in the same place I was in, not experiencing hell. I got to get the fuck out of this. Well, it's gonna come. If it don't come in this vessel, it's gonna come. So all you motherfucking preachers, I hope you watching this, because it's gonna come. That time and day, you heard it now. It's gonna come. So it's better to lessen that experience. Why go through all those experiences when you could just be like, damn, Archangel Uriel is here now, and I don't want to experience that no more. So I'm gonna change that in the present. So when you leave this existence and go to the next one in the sin, you're not gonna experience that no more. Damn, why is all so simple? It's all so simple. Like Drake said, how can it all be so simple? Now, yeah, so that's a cult. So, religious people, ask yourself, why did that motherfucker give you a purpose? Because having a purpose, I don't know your purpose. So, whoever gave you a purpose, that it's a purpose in general. But you probably feel like my purpose is to get it out, right? My purpose is to get the shit out. That's occult science. That's occult knowledge. Because that purpose is tied to an agenda. What is the agenda of that purpose? And a lot of people claim they got purposes and don't even know their agenda. Nigga, what's the agenda behind your purpose? Why is you purposely doing what you think your purpose is? What's the agenda behind it? And I bet if a lot of preachers and religions look at the agenda behind their purpose, they can't stomach it. They wouldn't be able to stomach it. And that's when humans will realize that, damn, the ultimate goal is we're really supposed to create our own agenda. And when you create your own agenda, your purpose becomes so much more fulfilled, don't it? It feels so much better to have a purpose, don't it? Because you know the agenda is truly yours. So it won't be no reason to be stressed out or something. Because you know that's not your agenda. So all these preachers and religious people, if you have been blind to think that your purpose was your agenda, then now you're in the vibration of you think you in the vibration of your agenda is to help others. So now that became your purpose. So you think So you up under all the realms of illusions and the gods and the lights that gave you that purpose, but you fail to realize that you chose the agenda. At the end of the day, it was always your choice. That's what came first. Your frequency came first, and you chose the agenda, and the agenda was you chose that purpose. And if that purpose consists of you helping people, that was your agenda. And now your agenda is going to put you into all the experiences that revolves around that purpose. And if you're a religious purpose, damn, you're going to see a lot of pain, don't you? You see a lot of hurt in other people's lives, don't you? Because your agenda is to see all the hell in the world. So you like pigs. You eat up all the hell in the world. You the one see it. Because you made it your purpose. So you're purposely in hell. And you can't even go that deep. I bet you trapped in all kind of languages and shit trying to find your way out of the hole that I just cast you in. But I didn't cast you there. All I did was show you that you there. I didn't just cast you there. I'm showing you there. And you want to know how you feel like I cast you there or something like that? Because right now you're trying to cast me somewhere. You're trying to throw a rock right now. A David and Goliath rock. You're trying to cast a stone. Or that ain't the way it's supposed to be looked at. Or you don't know what you're talking about. Or you're casting a stone and now you're trying to cast me somewhere. People who think like you is what the Bible was teaching. And this is what the Bible. Now you casting me somewhere. You the one with the realm of reality and the feelings of expressions of casting someone somewhere. Do you get it? You are the only one experiencing the vibration of doing any kind of casting. So you are the one that been casting and being casted on. Where I'm just telling you that's the world you in. I'm not doing any casting. Or I haven't been casted anywhere. I'm an archangel. I'm here to just decipher and let you know what shit actually is. Remind you, I don't give a fuck about language or anything. So when I come into y'all realm of reality, I don't know what's going on. So when I'm explaining shit, I'm just explaining it how I see it. And how I see it will be baby-like to y'all. But since I know how to keep my conscious in every realm of reality, in this realm of reality, I'm in a physical density body, and I'm in an adult body, so I'm able to explain my babiness, my childlikeness, in y'all way, in y'all age way. So it's like, I'm just here telling y'all what the shit actually is. And y'all just try to tell me and argue with me about the illusions that is filtered up under. And I'm just sitting here telling you like, yo, chill. No one's going to hell. You in hell. Because you the one who's coloring and painting the picture. So it don't matter how you feel about it. What matters is you're experiencing it. So this is why you could be a preacher and you could witness someone doing all the evil in the world and you the only one who's feeling that way. That person ain't feeling like they doing no evil. That person may feel like the most bliss in the world. So in your head, you let a god or an illusion confuse you and made you think that that person is actually doing wrong in the world. But what you fail to realize is, no, you just experiencing the wrong in the world. When if you take yourself, you are responsible for your soul. I'm telling you that, preacher. You can't tell me that. I'm telling you this. And you know I'm making sense right now. You know I got the spirit. I'm telling you this. So you can understand. If you take yourself out of that vibration, quit thinking about hell things, quit preaching it, quit quit thinking about it, quit putting yourself in these circumstances where you're going to be consciously aware of it, quit thinking you have to preach it, then guess what? Guess what's going to happen? You're going to stop experiencing people doing wrong, people doing bad. And the longer you dive in that vibration, it won't even be part of your world, to the point that you won't even think it exists. So even if it is a world out here that killing and people doing bad things exists, guess what? It won't be part of your world. And guess what? When you die and ascend, you're going to have more power there. You're going to be more consciously aware there. You're going to be able to experience more there. But guess what's not going to be part of that experience? Bullshit, negative, hell shit. Do you get it? Preacher, I'm trying to really put you in heaven. I'm trying to really make sense for your soul. I'm trying to really help you. So if me being an archangel and me even having to come in that way to strike a nerve in you for you to even do some research. Oh, he's talking about Uriel. He's not Uriel because he's using profanity. For me to even, he's looking like this. He's got that. For me to even come to you in that way, that was what's needed. That was what's needed. Do you get it? Do you understand now? Do you, as me being a real angel, do you know how to decipher from what you learned from angels and a real angel now? Do you know how to decipher between the two now? Because I'm only here to help. But the way I come to help don't matter. Key words. The way I came to help don't matter. Matter. Everything is frequency, vibration, and energy. Energy came last. So it's something that has to matter. It can become matter to the point it become into the dimension that is real then. Whether it can play out through a person, place, or thing. It can become physical. The way. The way means a way, shape, or form that is going to take place within that dimension. So you need to understand that the physical form that you in and the things that you are experiencing in the dimension don't matter. The way I'm coming don't matter. The way, shape, and form I'm coming in don't matter. The messenger, the angel, the angle, the light, the illusion don't matter. What matters is the message, where it came from, the frequency vibration, the spirit and the soul, where I came from. That's what matters. Then it can become matter and become solid. Do you get that, preacher? Share this motherfucking video to some fucking preachers or something. Because just me saying motherfucker, they think that they got some spirit authority over me, and I just proved in living flesh the difference between a real angel, I'm really Archangel Uriel, than motherfucking a fictitious illusion light that's formulated into an element of your pleasing. Once again, that word pleasing. I'm not coming to please you. I'm coming to give the actual message, the word. Motherfucker. That's real. Now that's what's real. Before even coming to a reality that y'all think the shit that's real in that reality is. Flight boss, bitch. And one more thing about I have done everything. So I got a whole new respect for I. Flight boss is not I. I have done everything. So Flight boss haven't done everything. But I have. So anytime I tap into a high consciousness, I can tap into I. So even if I haven't done something, I tap into the high consciousness of I. So I'm able to say I've done everything. And I, in that conscious realm of reality, I let me know what those experiences lie within. So when people come to me with any kind of experience, I've been through that experience before. I've done that experience already. And I already know how it feels. So I don't have to attach and experience all the shit you attaching to that shit, because I already did it. Now you gotta understand, I is this motherfucker that everybody is attaching themselves to that have done every fucking thing. This is why when you experience something new, you like, damn, I never did this before, but it's a whole new feeling. You need to dive into that. Because if it's something that I never did before, that means that the overall I that you attaching yourself, that's not you. That nigga never did that before. And the moment you did it, you experienced it for it. But there's a without realm and a within realm. And concepts of that is this concept. When I be saying I am not I, that's that concept. Flight boss is I. You know what I'm saying? Flight boss is here in the presence. Flight boss is what I want to do. You see what I'm saying? Now, that's me outside of this being that I'm in. You see what I'm saying? Do you get that flight boss is me outside of this being that we in. I is the being we in. And I did a lot of shit. So this is why I don't give a fuck when people come in my face like, I did this, I did that before. You have to do this, you have to do that. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit, because I did all that shit before. I didn't experience all that shit before. So if the flight boss is in I right now, I have no and dealing with a high ass consciousness. I told y'all I'm foreign. So flight boss is foreign. So flight boss have no choice to tell y'all I did everything before. I experienced everything. Because I've been in all that consciousness awareness before. But flight boss know how to tap in to that consciousness awareness that nigga I is at. You see what I'm saying? You're going to have to go through so many levels of conversations with yourself, deciphering yourself from I. You're going to find yourself saying, I did like, damn, you right now, you can't even decipher I. Right now, you might try to argue with me with, well, this was made as a language, as a representation to pinpoint when we're talking about ourselves. Remind you, language was created. Language is outside of you. It's an outside reference. So anything that you put energy to outside of you can be made physical, can be made into matter. Like I said, everything is a frequency, vibration, and energy. So whoever created the frequency of I, it became an idea. So even though I don't care if you're referring to you, now you're referring to you outside of yourself. This is where ego came from and everything. So now you gave it a vibration, you give it a feeling and an emotion. So now I has became you. So now you think I'm I, because everywhere you go, when they say what's your name, I'm this, I'm that. You know, even when you going into court, you saying I'm. Now that shit matters so much, it became matter to the point you got a bunch of I's here now. Now it's an overall I. This is the I you in. This is how you separate from you not being an I, because you're able to think to yourself and be like, why did I do that? Yeah, why is the being you in doing shit in the way it's doing? But you would never understand it that way because you never been outside this being. I have. That's what I'm trying to that's what I'm trying to get to y'all, to understand how do we decipher what's really real and what's really not, and who really spiritual beings, who really not, and who really angels, and I'm really the Archangel Uriel. Now, flight boss is the flight boss. But in this being we in, that motherfucker Archangel Uriel. See what I'm saying? It's a mind fuck that you will go through before you reach to this level. But that nigga I did a lot of shit. So anytime you think less of yourself, that's when you in a vibration of saying you can't do something. So you like, man, I can't do that. I can't do that. That ain't me. That ain't me. So you lessen yourself from experiences. But what you actually doing is you saying you detaching yourself from the I. And that's what you really doing. So what you doing is you lessening your experiencing, but what you really doing is separating yourself to not experience something that the I been experiencing from the beginning of time within itself. You see what I'm saying? That's what's actually going on. So it's like You've been you experiencing what I have already experienced. So a lot of times when you step into this realm of reality, you will start to understand when it's useful. You start to look at it like, okay, this is a motherfucker I could work with. You know what I'm saying? Because eventually you come out and look at that motherfucker in the face and you be one of that. But if you in it, learn how to work with it. But 100% of the world, there's no such thing as 100%. But in this reality, y'all created it so it's real. 100% of the world can't decipher themselves between I. So you're only experiencing, what the fuck? You only experiencing what the I have already experienced. So anytime you saying I can't do something, you're taking yourself away from an experience that's there to be experienced. But that's how you decipher yourself from the I. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, you make yourself weak in this realm of reality. You want to know how you do that? You make yourself weak in this realm of reality by taking yourself from the I, though, because you're still in the I. This is what I had to learn. See, y'all know me, so I went into a realm of reality where I was like, man, fuck you, but I'm still in it. So I started to see certain things where I was like, okay, this is a high conscious here. So you see, I'm starting using I now. So Flight Boss really had to start working with this I to the point that, okay, I signed the term of the agreement now. Now, when I say I know what level of consciousness I'm at now, and I know what agreements I'm signing. So when I say I, it's not the same way when y'all saying I. But I still got to get to a level of consciousness when I'm outside this motherfucker, when I don't have to say I no more. You see what I'm saying? In flight. And really be in that conscious of reality. But what I'm saying is, when you travel a land that I travel to and try to argue with it, what happens here is you make yourself weak here because you don't have enough your own source to experience and create what you want to experience without utilizing what I already experienced. You see what I'm saying? So this is an example right here. I don't want to mind fuck y'all. Let me break this down to y'all dimension. Say you can't do something, or you got somebody telling you can't do something. You're taking your experience for what's already been done. So what's happening here? You make yourself weak. So when you come across somebody who be like, man, I did this, I can do that, they hold a sense of authority over you. Now that actual person, right, may have never did that. Or even if they did put themselves in vibrations that they did that. You need to understand that it's not what they done that put them in that vibration to make you feel like they know how to do something that you don't know how to do. It's just that they using the frequency vibration of I. So this is where you get liars and shit like that. Because we got to tie this I to language. It's still outside of you. This is where we get liars and manipulative and shit like that, right? Because the better I know how to do something, the better I know how to tell you, and it goes deep, even if you don't know how to do something, and the better you know how to tell somebody you don't know how to do something, the better I don't know how to tell somebody the better I know how to tell somebody I don't know how to do something. There's a frequency in that. That's something that I have already done. So when you tie the I to that, I have did that. So it's important to come across as you already done shit, because this tap you into a higher consciousness. Because even if you never done something before, it's always important. This is when it is good to attach the I. It's always important to be like, all right, I did this before, because it's going to tap you into a higher frequency where you're vibrating in a higher frequency, and all the beings who was vibrating at that frequency, you're going to be receiving those thoughts and spirits and angels and shit. And those are going to be thoughts that lower beings didn't get before. So when you come back down here, you end up looking like an inventor. You end up looking like a creator. You end up looking like a nigga with a broad imagination. You see what I'm saying? See, my channel is about where shit actually comes from, not after it's already in filters, and then you have to decipher through filters. See, when I talk about shit where it actually come from, I be talking about shit when it's straight from the ninth dimension. So it's not gonna make sense, but the shit you do every day is the shit. And I look at it like it makes sense because I live there. I live in the ninth dimension. You know what I'm saying? But that's another video. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it plays out like that. So, you know, you just gotta be aware. Flight boss, bitch, goddamn air.